Well, first, there was no upside, right? So it's really a split assembly. I think the good news is really that we kicked down the crazies, right? So the cordon sanitaire in France holds strong, and I think that's a very good news. That is true, the left-wing coalition came on top. But again, they cannot govern, right? It's a hung parliament. So I think now the question is going to be about coalition building. Is France ready for that?
So yeah, can they do that? It's not in the French tradition.
It's complicated. You know, I work for a German company. It takes months to build a coalition contract and to actually stick to it. And already this morning we saw some of the representatives from Macron's party say we're not going to come back to a 60-year-old, pension reform. And we saw other people on the left say we're not going to wash down our promise of, bringing up minimum wages, right? So it's going to be a very complicated situation. I think the big thing that markets should be looking at is the pro-European stance. This is what matters in the end, that we're not going to test our European partners or institutions. That's really what this result last night is about. And now it's about also trying to make sure we reassure on the fiscal stance, because that was a big question mark.
So that's the question, because a hung parliament, as you were saying last week, is that this is the least bad scenario. But at the same time, it means a complete standstill. And there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed, particularly public finances. So what does that mean going forward?
It's going to be complicated because before the elections, we needed to adjust by 100 billion or so a point of GDP per year. And so now the question is, what are we going to be really agreeing on? Because the smallest common denominator doesn't seem to be really easy to determine. I think there's going to be a bit more spending on the social sectors because that's something that's going to be very bipartisan. The tax increase, I think Macron had a big stance on no tax increase. I think they're going to have to wash that down a little bit if they want to be credible in a coalition building scenario.
Interesting. And it looks like the market had priced in a hung parliament, but maybe they hadn't priced in as much the left-wing bloc having more influence into policies. So you think this could move the needle a little bit on the markets today?
Yeah, and I think the problem is also, I read the news yesterday night and a lot of people are saying that the commies are back in France. I want to reassure people, the commies are not back. It's an electoral coalition, so the left wing is actually an electoral cartel. And so yes, the leftist faction of this is on top, but they still now need to see who's going to be proposed for prime minister. And again, I think there are a lot of antagonism against the leftist part of this coalition. So I'm not too worried. I think we are really converging towards a center-left policy building. And look, the last time that France adjusted its deficit by a point a year was when François Hollande was president. So things can happen under a center-left government that one could see as positive for France and Europe. Yeah.